Are these live? Are these on?
I think they are. It should be. I thought if this
They
was
are.
on, they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost slid back.
Everybody got a copy of this, correct? I think I gave it to everybody.
Yeah.
Is it different from what you sent us in the packet?
No, it's the same stuff.
Okay.
The only thing that's different is the site plan, but I even sent that electronically
Yeah.
to you yesterday or the day before. That's what come up with that. What was your plan for having applicants? Where were they supposed to be? Okay. That way we get nice to do with their facts.
Thank you, Paul. Other duties as assigned. Now, what's the same as the prior packet? I couldn't see a difference. The graphics of DG that you gave me look like the ones that were in the packet.
They are. I
Okay,
just didn't have to have copies.
Okay.
So it was just-
thank you. I put one in my economics folder. Yeah, one.
I'm thinking because people get
The only thing that's different is the site plan.
opportunity to come.
I sent that out to everybody.
Oh. I just
But
didn't.
they
know.
have the
I have
opportunity
the
to show
PDF
up
still.
in person upstairs.
Doug, you know, now there's even another Dollar General
And,
in Hewitt.
and
Yeah.
also,
But is
this
this on
is.
YouTube?
Yeah, they're nationwide, they're going crazy.
Because people can't show up.
Did you see the article in this morning's paper about the one in
That
Sharpsburg?
Yeah.
I think it's a good-
Yeah.
And they're gonna design it look like a country store.
Huh?
No, I
What
agree.
was that?
They're
Yeah.
gonna design it
I think
look like
it's
a
awesome.
country store.
I was just curious.
Well, it didn't look like that in the paper.
One day I worked all day.
Was there a picture in the paper?
Oh,
No,
the dumpster, you had to get
for
to
the
gallery
s-
spot.
I'm in.
Where the gallery
Smithsburg.
over
That was
there,
very convenient.
Sharpsburg.
And it's a Sharpsburg.
Sharpsburg. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't see one in Sharpsburg.
You know,
It's on
you know.
That's where the, yeah,
where we
I'm-
only have
Where
one.
the
Yeah.
art
You got the wrong
gallery
house.
is.
You're right.
Discuss,
West side of town.
We
Right.
just may as well do
Where the
it.
art gallery is.
you know, online,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're
We're
sure.
live
Well-
right now.
I think it taught the country a lot of like, you know.
We're live, folks, so watch your language.
The one thing I don't.
All right, call the meeting to order. Gracious.
All right.
Welcome to the City of Hagerstown Planning Commission meeting for July the 8th, 2020. Commissioners with me this afternoon. On my far left is Shelley McIntyre. Next, Ron Thomas, Chris Davis, and on my right is Judy Weller. Our staff, city staff is with us is Kathy Marr, Director, Steve Ottwiller, Zone Administrator, and Megan Flick, Planner. So our first item is approval of the minutes of June 24th, which were submitted to you in advance.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
Second?
We have a motion second. Are we ready to vote?
I have page 3. In the next to the last paragraph, under Planning Commission staff discussion. It sounds like something's missing from starting with the third sentence down. Mr. Bookmeller stated that part of what is driving this is the Washington County Historical Trust is leading the rehab, like something's missing in there. I think what you're trying to say is that the Washington County Historical Trust, I guess, is leading it, but something sounds like it's missing. That part of what is driving this is the Washington County Historical Society, which is leading the rehab, or
that, or something.
Using the word-
That, I think.
that is take the is and put it, that is leading. It just
What is
didn't,
driving this is that the Washington County Historical Trust is leading the rehab work.
yeah.
Or just the trust is driving the.
Yeah, it seemed like something was missing in between Washington County Trust and rehab work.
So we're going to change it to what? We have 3 options.
I think what I interpret is that what we want to say is that part of what is driving this is the Washington County Historical Society, which is leading the rehab work with the goal.
Or what, I kind of like what Megan suggested is, part of what is driving this is that the Washington County Historical Trust is leading the rehab work.
That's fine.
Right.
That's fine.
Just simpler.
Yep. Either way is fine with me.
That
Just
helps
that
it.
my worst subject in school is English, so
I think you did
I
great.
try to practice.
Apparently not.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Motion maker and second are okay with the revision?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All's in favor as revised, please say
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Abstain. I was upset.
You don't have to, or you weren't there.
I
That's
wasn't
right.
there. I wasn't
Thank you.
there.
All right, the other half, the other reason.
My first subject was English.
Isn't that crazy how we get to where we're at? Okay, then we have a couple of development reviews. First one is 1739 Dual Highway, Washco Tri-State Plaza. Final plat.
Okay, this is subdivision plat 2020-07, final plat for Tri-State Plaza, south side of Dual Highway. This plat is for the purpose of dividing this property into 2 lots, one to contain the existing office building and the other to contain a fast food restaurant, for which a site plan was recently approved by this body. Joint access and maintenance easements would apply to both properties since they will share drive aisles and other improvements. An easement is proposed through Lot 1A, where the restaurant will be located, to provide access to the office portion of the large warehouse building to the rear of this site from the proposed new entrance point on Dual Highway. Plan Review Committee is not currently being held due to the COVID-19 emergency. The following agencies have provided approvals: Planning, Fire Marshal, Water, Wastewater, Electric. We anticipate that having approval from the city engineer in place in time for your meeting. Staff recommends approval subject to any conditions forthcoming from the city engineer. We received a conditional approval from the city engineer subject to 3 conditions, all of which are minor notational kind of things.
Questions? Comments?
Let me see.
Mm-mm.
I think that's what we,
I have a few.
okay.
And the city engineer might address some of these. I think the legend is really lacking. You have all different kinds of patterns. You have some lines on here that are not identified as what they are. And I think that because this is going to be in the courthouse and filed forever, we need to be clear about what we're saying. So I'd like to ask that the legend be expanded before it's filed.
And staff will point out that on this one, we actually had some difficulty with this one a little bit because it is so busy as well, so I completely understand where you're coming from.
20 years from now, if no one's been in this room, they're gonna have a really tough time with it.
So you should have seen this before. This is
Yeah.
actually the cleaned up version.
Well,
But
appreciate
it is what it is, unfortunately, because they've got some of the underlying things on there ghosted in to give you context to what you're looking at, but but at the same time, it also busies it up. So typically, a plat really wouldn't have this much stuff on it, but this is kind of a unique circumstance.
but I think the legend could be expanded.
Sure.
My next question is on that 18-foot access easement that goes through basically the center of the property. On our page, bottom to top, top to bottom. It crosses over some existing features. Are those features going to be removed?
Most of the parking field is going to be torn out and redone. The parking on the side of the building there is actually going to flip. So that 18-foot drive aisle will be heading, I guess, north. And the parking along the side of the building there will be angled the opposite direction. But yeah, this parking and the islands are all being reworked.
So I guess 20 years from now, someone will be able to go out there and say, oh, that's gone. So, but that's part of my reading problems.
I mean, we can take all of that existing curb and parking lines off, so we just show existing and proposed easements. It would really clean it up.
That would, and maybe just the building,
Yeah.
Yeah.
existing building.
Staff has no objection to that because ultimately, when they build this facility, these existing conditions are going to go away anyway.
Yeah. That would be an improvement. My last question is on the note number 1, and this probably has been taken care of too. Each lot owner shall be responsible for the maintenance repair of the paved drive and parking areas. I'm assuming that agreement does address disagreements. I mean, if one property owner says, I'm not doing that, what's the recourse the other property owner has?
So there's a reciprocal parking agreement that allows each lot to park on the other lot. We were trying to be clear, if a hole opened up in parking field here, that lot owner would be responsible for it.
Have you all seen the agreement?
Have not.
I haven't seen it either.
So what you're basically saying is that the maintenance of that area that is for that particular customer is maintained by that customer.
We have 2 property owners, and each property owner has their own customers driving across the other property owner's land. If one property owner allows his parking lot or access area, the roadway to deteriorate in such a way as to cause a problem for the other property owner's customers and good traffic flow, is there a mechanism to force the delinquent property owner to repair to the satisfaction of the other property owner?
I think that's what I'm saying, that
So am I.
each property owner, doesn't matter who drives across it, but that property owner is responsible for his area, and this property owner is responsible for that area.
That's what it says now.
Yeah.
But if there is a disagreement in the future and property owner A says, I'll wait for that, do that 5 years from now, is there a mechanism to force property owner A to repair it? Yes, ma'am.
That would be the other half of my department. If someone complained about it, we would reach out to the property owner who had the deteriorated potholes, whatever, and say, you gotta fix that.
Be nice to be in the agreement too.
Because it happens now.
Yeah,
With
I'm
parking lots right now.
sure it does. That's why I asked the question. I would like just to know that, or to be assured that in the future, whether your department has still got that half or not, that,
That half would be somewhere in the city.
yeah, that mechanism is in place so property owner B can do something to force property owner A to get it fixed. Okay, is that all right? Can I make that, ask that be a stipulation of approval? The staff has reviewed the agreement and meets my concerns? Okay. So I've asked to have the site plan cleaned up and the legend expanded if necessary, and the staff to review the agreements. If someone is in favor of this, I'll take a motion.
Okay, let's see.
Before I do that, is there any other discussion?
I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I'll make a motion that we accept the final site plan as amended in regards to cleaning up the site plan sketch, indicating that specific property owners will be responsible for maintaining their parking lots, and what was the third one?
Expand the legend.
Yes, expand the legend.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? And I guess we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Our next one is Masters Workshop, 743 Roman Avenue.
Okay. This is site plan for minor expansion and subdivision plat, ZS 2020-05 and S 2020-03 for Masters Woodshop at 743 Bowman Avenue at the intersection of Eldridge Drive. The site plan is for the construction of a 4,200 square foot storage addition on the back of the building and a small expansion of the gravel delivery and circulation area in front of the proposed addition. The expansion will not result in increased numbers of employees. Parking is existing along the south side of the building and on the edge of the gravel area to the east of the building, and this will not change. The minor amount of expansion does not trigger requirements for additional parking, nor is it being expanded. Given the nature of existing parking, requiring retroactive improvements of the gravel parking area is disproportionate to minimal improvements triggered by triggering the site plan. However, at staff's request, the applicant has agreed to pave the existing gravel driveway entrance back 50 feet in order to reduce or eliminate gravel and stone dust being tracked into the city streets. The applicant is requesting a waiver to not require the installation of street trees along their frontages on Eldridge Drive and Bowman Avenue. Plan Review Committee is not meeting at this time due to the COVID-19 emergency. The following agencies have approved the plan: Health, Planning, Water, Wastewater, and Fire Marshal. We anticipate receiving approval from the city engineer and the electric division in time for your meeting. Staff recommends approval of the site plan subject to any conditions forthcoming from the city engineer and electric division. Staff takes no position on the waiver. The plat consolidates 3 existing parcels into one 4.56 acre lot. No additional easements or other plat elements are proposed. The following agencies have approved the plat: Health, Planning, Water, Wastewater, Fire Marshal. We anticipate receiving approval from the city engineer and electric division in time for your meeting. Staff recommends approval of the plan subject to any conditions forthcoming from the city engineer and electric division. The site plan, as shown on the screen up there, the additions on the back of the building, then there's a darkly hashed area, which is a minor expansion of an existing gravel area. And there's a lightly shaded area down where the 2 streets meet. Right now, that's a gravel, uncontrolled entrance into the property, and they have agreed to pave back 50 feet, basically to the building restriction line. Because if you look at air photos currently, the site does track dust and gravel and such into the street. Paving it back 50 feet should take care of that. The plans that you received show all of these improvements, and staff recommends approval subject to those conditions. And we did receive, I got verbal approval from the Lake Department regarding, or the Electric Division, excuse me, giving conditional approval subject to some minor adjustments. And City Engineer's Office, I believe, has also given us conditional on this as well. And the City Engineer's representative is here today, if you have any questions on that.
Questions, comments, concerns? I copied you all on an email that I sent to Steve, I guess you have to, about just an opportunity, really, for the city to be able to easily fix something. And I'm referring to a sanitary sewer, 54-inch sanitary sewer line crossing the property on the right side of the page. And it's now protected by a 25-foot easement, but appears that the easement is not running parallel, the easement lines are not running parallel with the sanitary sewer line. And in fact, as you get up near Eldridge Drive, if they're going to be digging in that, trying to fix that sanitary sewer in that particular area, they're going to be encroaching on the land. I know no one's going to get all excited about that or anything else, but this seems like a great time to realign those easement lines to put that sewer line directly in the center of the easement. And I think it would hurt no parties at all, and would benefit the city and taxpayers in the future.
It has no objection. You okay with that?
I agree.
It's easy for us to fix.
Yep.
Line has no objection, so we can change it, no problem.
Super. And then it'll be recorded. And that's great. On the waiver to design standards, you state the waiver requested, but you didn't fill out the justification block.
I didn't personally fill it out myself, so, yeah.
You want to make your argument, now's your time.
As far as the waiver for street trees?
It is street trees, yes.
Yeah.
That's what you're asking.
I think I think the point for us to not add the street trees along, what was the road?
Both of them, it's Bowman and Eldridge.
You want me to pull
Yeah.
through your goal, Street View?
I mean,
But they really don't know any land.
This area right here is completely undeveloped, and we have a tree line back here, it's all wooded. As far as the need for street trees in that area, I mean, if we were to ever develop it, then I think it would make sense to put street trees there. For what we're proposing being behind the building, I don't see the advantage, requiring street trees.
When staff receives these kinds of requests, and when you look at it, when we're dealing with a redevelopment site, we kind of weigh the issues. And here we have something that's a minor addition, it's not creating additional traffic in the back of the building. I'm not taking a position one way or the other. If they were building a significant addition, they were doing other stuff on the property, expanding the use, staff would recommend that trees be put in. But since this is pretty minor, it barely qualifies even as a site plan, but large enough you can come to this body. Staff didn't push them at the staff level to do it anyway. We figured it's just between them and you. If they were doing a major addition, we would have a stormwater.
I mean, I have no problem with waiving it. But before this is put in a file somewhere, let's get that reason recorded in this document.
That's for you all to put on the record here, because you have to make your decision based on the justification that they give you. So,
Before this document gets filed somewhere, then it'll be revised to say that.
okay,
I can
reflect
add that
what's
to the-
here
I
going
can
on.
add to the document.
Okay, that's fine.
In addition, you were referring to if you were to develop that area, you would address the street trees. I think that ought to be placed in there also, that at any point in the future, any time in the future, that if that area that you're talking about eliminating the street trees from is developed, that they would be placed there at that time. Or we're not going to be exempt from that area.
Correct, yeah,
That's
it
the
only
main thing.
applies to this case.
Yeah,
Any future development would require meeting all the planning requirements.
okay,
That's kind of a given.
okay.
Yeah, does that have to go into this motion?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't think it's necessary. It's up to you if you want to do it, but
Well,
if they come in later for a major expansion, they're going to go through the site plan process anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going from my experience when I've dealt with right-of-ways and easements, people came and added on to their property. Well, I was told I didn't have to do that when I built this, And now, they want to add it on. And it's a different, it's different but similar. And I want to make sure that you don't run into that situation where there's an argument back and forth and a confrontation.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but I don't think it doesn't hurt to put it in,
Exactly. Again, staff has no strong opinions on this one way or the other.
But our motion should also include the fact that we are willing to waive the street trees at this
At
particular
this,
time.
that's fine. That's fine.
Any other questions, concerns? On the east side of the property, and the waiver of requirement for street trees with the knowledge that it will be addressed later in future development on the property.
I'll make that
So-
motion,
Thank you.
or second.
Do you need to put in, do you want to put in the motion that needs to be completed, your application?
Yes, thank you. I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then before approval, the staff will ensure that the waiver document is completely filled out by the applicant.
So moved.
Are you going to have a separate motion for the plat? Because the wording at this point is just the site plan. You want to do them together, or you want to do separate motions?
Let's do them separate. Thank you for pointing out that I missed that.
This is for the-
And I guess the plat should really refer to the easements.
Yes.
So Madam Secretary, if you could strike my comments about the easement line, the maker and seconder agree to that, I appreciate it.
Agreed.
Are we ready to vote?
Okay, this is on the
Site plan.
site plan.
Yes.
Okay.
And waiver.
And the waiver, okay.
Assuming we're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we have I love this term, subdivision.
Who was the maker and the seconder?
I believe it was Ron with Chris's second.
One of us made the motion, the other one seconded, so
At the same time.
same time.
Chris, who seconds then? The other? Okay, Ron. Okay.
Like I said, this term subdivision always strikes me as an oxymoron.
Yeah, because you're
In
consolidating.
cases like this, because we are opposite of subdivision,
Consolidating.
consolidated. That's good, yeah. So,
Do you need a motion then?
yes, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat with the adjusting of the easement line for the 54-inch sanitary sewer.
Second.
Floor is open for any additional discussion. Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good luck, sir. Thank you. All right, now we have 743 Bowman Avenue.
That's
That
just,
was the
We did
plan.
that.
That was, yeah.
That's where I got all this stuff.
Okay, yeah.
My mistake. Now, feel rejuvenated, feel rejuvenated. 5 Nottingham Road.
okay, this is a fence landscaping waiver for 5 Nottingham Road. The Rejuvenate Float Center at this location desires to construct a privacy fence along the north side property line of the property. Property line is a zoning district line adjacent to residential zoning. Therefore, 10 feet of landscaping is expected to be outside of the fence by the ordinance. There's little to no room to accomplish this. Therefore, the applicant requests the planning commission waive the requirement. Staff has no objection. And it also should be pointed out, there's an intervening 10-foot paper alley between the properties that is kind of shown on the photograph that I embedded in your memo. It's that grass area between that blue sign and the chain link fence, which I believe runs along the property line for the adjacent house. Below is a photo of the site if you have any questions. Basically, the property line for 5 Nottingham Road is roughly where that blue sign is. If they're to have to move the fence 10 feet closer to the building, they're going to end up having to run the fence literally through paving. It's going to cut out a parking space. It makes no sense in this particular situation.
I agree. It's crowded there, so.
I have no issues.
Yeah,
Megan, could you pan it to the right a little bit? There you go.
it would just look more cluttered to me.
So they'd just be putting the fence right on the property.
How tall a fence will it be?
They're proposing 6.
They'd like 6, but what's going on is the kids are coming down the alley and intentionally beating on the walls and the doors, which is scaring customers. They've called the police many times. So they're hoping to put the fence and maybe it'll stop the direct running down the sidewalk. They're going just fine beating on the doors and, for some reason, just trying to scare the customers.
There are 2 double doors there?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
And the whole experience is a very quiet experience that they do in the float pods and stuff like that. So they're just hoping to redirect the traffic that runs across the parking lot to hopefully use the sidewalk instead of the front of the building.
And the fence will still have to comply with the front setback, but it'll be covering the area along the side of the building and a little bit forward of it.
They'd be out halfway from the sidewalk to the parking spot. It's like 26 center line of the road. And the materials in the fence? Proposed is something like they have on the side there, which is pressure treated lumber. So it'd be a solid wooden fence.
Like you said, it would, if you did require this, then it would remove a parking space, and it's just so limited now.
That building is probably only 10 feet from the
Yeah.
side property line, so you'd literally be putting the fence right up against the building.
Yeah,
It's a little jut out there, that brown structure, to the very right, that I think is right on the edge of the property line. Yeah, it's very close.
on the
They
right
like to
side.
continue that forward is what they would like to do. And you're gonna come off that far corner? Yes, sir. Right, that would make sense.
yeah.
And where's the alley that you were talking about?
It's a grass strip. If you notice
Oh,
that
the
this
grass strip, okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say that jut out looks like it's in the gravel part of the alley.
Yeah,
Very,
it's
very
between that
deep
blue
down.
sign and the chain link fence there.
Okay.
And the kids are coming back from like that
They come
grass
from the
area?
other street down, and that alley is used apparently a lot.
Mhm.
And they're required to actually maintain that as well. The property owners, they don't own it, but they're required to maintain.
Okay, so the actual alley is a grass plot between the chain link fence and that blue sign.
Yes, sir. And I don't think the city is ever going to improve it.
No. So a 6-foot solid wooden fence? Yes, sir. Versus a metal picket fence?
No, no.
I'm not following. What the police department would like to see? Oh. That's much more expensive.
You can reach through it.
You can't run through it.
Staff has no comment.
Is that gonna,
We didn't run past the police department. I mean, technically, you're correct as far as the design expectations of septet. A fence that you can see through is preferable for crime prevention. But this is such a minor issue, I didn't float it past the police department for official comment.
are there any windows on the side of the house there where the chain link fence is? On the, that would be blocked by the fence, the wooden fence?
You know, Doug, if there are like kids that are creating a little bit of mischief, you have to wonder if a solid fence is going to be, you know, add to the issue.
Yeah, they can hide behind it, yeah. We can propose maybe gapping the boards, I think, what code, less than 4 inches or something like that, still give or I could propose to the owner, just, you know, and to see what the cost difference would be to do an iron fence or something. Well, what I'm suggesting would be much more expensive than what they want to pay for, I'm sure, and what they're anticipating to pay for. But it is a more secure situation in that they can't hide behind it.
Yeah, you don't want to create,
I think that, yeah.
yeah.
The purpose is to stop the noise in the building. Is that my understanding?
Purpose to stop the traffic, they come across the front of the building,
Oh.
shoot up the alley, and they're thinking if they bring a fence out, it'll make the kids and the adults use the sidewalk out by the road.
Okay,
Instead of using their private property.
I got you.
Cut across the park.
Cut across the park, okay.
Yeah,
That makes
I've had
sense.
numerous police reports to just, there's not much they can do to the kids. They got them on camera beating on the windows, the doors, but they just ask them.
Yeah.
So,
I have, you know, I think that, again, to create something solid, it may just add another problem.
Someplace for
Yeah.
graffiti or something.
Just
We
anything,
wanted
I
to
mean,
just place a
graffiti,
condition on approval that it be an open fence. Rather than a closed
That's
fence.
fine with me. Open wooden fence is fine with me.
I just think that yeah, if you propose it, I mean, I agree, actually. Hopefully that makes sense to you.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
understand, and I could explain to them the reasoning, and
Yeah.
they're not opposed to, that'll still keep the foot traffic down.
Yeah.
So,
And if you use that language, it gives them latitude to come up with a material of their choosing.
Yeah.
okay, just say open vertical member, vertical orientated fence or something. Whatever the maker wants to say. Any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the 10-foot landscaping requirement. Do I have to talk about the open fence?
If
It
you
is
wanna make that a
suggested-
condition.
It is suggested that, or a condition, I guess, like to require that the fence will be open in nature, open slats,
Vertically oriented.
vertically oriented. I'm
It
terrible.
takes 3.5 inches.
Second.
Sorry, that wasn't clear.
We ready to vote? All those in favor favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're letting a 10 thing go by, 10-foot thing go by. We asked a fence that would maybe cost a little more, but we'd appreciate it. Yep.
Be seen through for security purposes.
All righty,
Thank you.
thank you. Did someone turn the air conditioning on?
I think it might not have been switched over.
They came in before the meeting and said that they turned on the AC and that if we had issues, they'll call down again. And we told them it didn't feel like it was on.
Jim, you're an engineer, man. Jeez. I mean, I own an HVAC company. You'll figure it out.
Thermometer control.
They pay us.
Yeah, yeah, I think I admitted it.
Oh, okay.
Just gotta go.
Okay. Trying to move along quickly. Dollar General.
Okay, we'll make sure that we have our remote participants in communication.
What are their names?
We have Chris.
I believe we are here. I'm not sure if you can hear us.
We can hear you.
Great.
Austin, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Robert?
Yes, I'm here.
Chris?
I'm here.
Okay, we got them all. All right, then we'll move forward. Just to give you an update, we talked to you briefly about this at a prior meeting, letting you know it was coming up because there was variance requests that were processed. The Board of Zoning Appeals did grant the 3 variances that were requested by the applicant for this project. One is to reduce the required parking for the store from 33 spaces to 20 spaces, although a lot more parking is proposed to be constructed on site just used elsewhere. Also, the build to line, instead of being right up at the street right of way, will be 5 to 10 feet back due to topographic issues. And there was a third condition, or a third variance.
Parking on the side of the building.
I drew a blank on that. Parking on the side of the building. The zoning ordinance requires the downtown district parking to be to the rear of buildings. However, this is a very large amount of frontage on Franklin Street, and they're going to build the building up on the street, but they're not going to have the building stretch the entire width of the frontage. So they're going to use the part that's not being used for building as parking for their use. And the BZA did grant all 3 of those variances. They plan to submit their sketch plan for stormwater management at your next meeting. However, we suggested to them, given the complexity of the situation, we thought it would be good for them to introduce themselves to you all, introduce the project, kind of get some feedback. So if there's anything that we at staff did not anticipate that you all draw attention to, they can take that into account when coming up with their sketch plan for stormwater management. We forwarded you the proposed building elevations. It's going to be a 1-story building, but it's going to look like a 2-story building. It's going to meet the intent of the zoning ordinance of making sure downtown buildings are going to look like 1-story buildings, but in fact, it is going to be just a single story. The parking area to the south part is intended to be sold to Mulberry Lofts. The site plan includes the design of that parking. So Mulberry Lofts, what will happen is that the site plan will be approved. There will be a subdivision that will be part of this development that will cut the property in half. It'll be the back part will be transacted to Mulberry Lofts. Mulberry Lofts would then be responsible themselves for making the improvements to their parking lot before they can start using it. We'd like to thank Austin and his team, by the way, for working with us on that, because we want to make sure that the whole site is designed holistically and where everything makes sense, and they agreed to do so. So they're essentially absorbing Mulberry Lofts engineering costs to design their parking lot for them. The elevations that you see they haven't changed since the ones that we sent you last week. The building site plan did change. We sent you a revised drawing a day or 2 ago, and they basically this is version 4. To give you a little bit of history, the first concept that they came in with was just a complete non-starter. It took no account of any of the design expectations of the CCMU district into account. They have been making revisions. We've had ongoing excellent communication with them, and we think we're pretty much where it needs to be. There is some tweaking that's, the parking design that you see there is actually based on concepts that we as staff floated to them. They've incorporated that. This is a good, to use their language, a good starting point for conversation with the planning commission. I do notice a few things in that back parking lot that ought to be tweaked a bit. For example, the whole thing needs to be shifted north a few feet because of the parking that backs straight out into the alley. The alley is only 12 foot wide right away. So they're going to need some additional back out space in order to make that 90-degree back in, back out into that alley. Jim Bender is here from the city engineer's office. If you have any questions about the engineering aspects of it from the city standpoint. We did hear from State Highway Administration. They're generally in favor of the access plan as you see it on this plan. So we suggest that they really need to talk to the State Highway Administration. They did follow through on that, and that's the feedback we got. So the site plan as it goes through should run into no problems or foul with the State Highway Administration since Franklin Street is reporting. But this is basically just an open conversation for all of us to participate in. Austin Wyman is the project manager, and Robert and Chris are the project engineers and project managers. They're zoomed in on the screen. That's all I got.
Basically, the ones that you emailed us, the parking lot has been expanded to the top of the page a little more.
The revised parking.
Yeah. With the email.
It's been expanded as far as number of spaces. I found that there were ways that they could cut down on drive aisles and things like that from the original version that was floated. And they did make those changes. This back parking lot, I think, has like about 60 spaces, which is more than their initial concepts showed. But basically what it's going to be a one-way drive aisle east to west through the site to the side alley. And then to leave, they would go either right or left on the alley that runs along the south side of the property. Engineering is thinking that should be left just kind of as a uncontrolled directional alley, which it currently is today. That way you can go either out to Cannon Avenue or over to Mulberry to get out of the site. Access into the Dollar General is going to be off of Franklin Street only. It's going to be a right in, right out. And it's going to be result in a widening of the alley that runs off of Franklin Street. There's two alleys that front this property. You have Franklin Street, and then down the west side of it is an alley, and then across the back is an alley. They're going to widen out that alley to be a two-way driveway to get into their parking lot. But once you get to the back of their parking lot, then it will resume to be a single width alley running back to the east-west alley.
Coming in from the east, going west on Franklin, there was going to be a right in?
Be right in because it's one-way traffic on Franklin Street. Excuse me, it would be a left in.
Okay.
Right.
Left
Sorry,
in,
left
yeah.
in, left out.
Left in, left out, yes.
Left in, left out.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I have some questions. I think that the north building elevation looks great. Does not look like a big box store, which is fantastic. Where's the sign going on that side?
Actually, that's a good question, and we've had some discussion at staff level. Our thought is that flat-mounted signs on downtown streets don't get the visibility
Right.
that, because people are driving, they're not turning their head 90 degrees to look at signs. Staff recommended that there be actually no signage on the front of the building, but instead on the east side of the building, above the simulated windows. Here we go. that they do a flat mounted sign facing the actual traffic. It's gonna serve the same rough purpose as a freestanding sign. The sign itself faces the traffic. Just put it above, in between the cornice of the top two windows on that elevation. And then it'll essentially serve the purposes of a freestanding sign without actually putting a freestanding or monument sign in the downtown.
And then something in the green space maybe in case you missed that?
The green space is actually owned by the city.
No, in front of the building.
I'm
You know, where
sorry,
there's,
you mean in here?
yeah,
The thought is that that's only going to be roughly about 5 feet, 6 feet of space. They haven't done their hard engineering yet. They're going to put it as close to the street as possible. But it's probably not enough room for a monument sign. So the thought is if you put it here, it's facing the traffic, just like your typical freestanding monument sign is. It's always facing the traffic. You don't have a monument sign parallel to the street.
and everybody gets stuck at that light.
And everybody gets stuck in that light. This perspective is if you're sitting at that 5-way intersection, eastbound on Franklin Street, not Dual Highway, not coming in off of Dual, but you're on the other side of that tall apartment building. Basically, if you're sitting at the intersection at that traffic light waiting for light turn, this is what you're going to see. But our thought is that a sign right here is going to capture all of the visual that they're going to want from that.
Plus, there probably will be at the actual entrance, one of these kind of parking lot directional signs, Dollar General.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which we don't calculate add into the sign square footage, it's directional.
So staying on that elevation, other than the greenery, what else can we do to break up that huge brick expanse?
So this is Austin here jumping in. And I guess I would say that, too, I think those are good points on the signage, and we are also coordinating with Dollar General to confirm their, what they look for. I'm not a signage expert, but, I'll have more feedback from them shortly. But I think what we're kind of generally talking about makes sense. As far as kind of that rear facing elevation, and I'm looking at this on Street View right now, and I would say, quite frankly, that if anything, the elevation that we're looking at probably overstates the amount of visibility that patrons would, or potential customers or people just driving through would actually see. If you kind of drive up, I can see on Google Street View, if you go to that intersection and you go to that light and turn around, if you keep going up, I guess it'd be westbound there. And when you look back, the existing shrubbery that's off of our site plan, combined with the other building that's there, and the trees that we'll be planting in addition, I think it's actually going to be a pretty aesthetically pleasing look there.
I see what you're saying. Thank you.
And the city engineer's office is actually talking about doing some retrofitting in that small space as far as the landscaping and all that to make it look better
Like a gateway.
in conjunction with this development.
While we're at this spot, if I could, Megan, can you zoom in on that? Right there, yeah. So basically above that City of Hagerstown sign, right? We'll have a Dollar General sign.
It'll be higher than that. It'll be roughly where, like, it's got the little cursor hand, be roughly up in there.
It's going to be that
Because
high.
the building's going up. Well, yeah, it'll be right here.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, our thought is to put the sign between the top of the big windows of the big second floor. If we could, one thing I forgot is Jim said that he may have a schedule conflict. Is that still?
I have one more question about the loading zone, the south elevation. I'm looking at that and I'm looking at the parking lot. How do you anticipate trucks getting to that?
The trucks would come in off of Franklin Street into the driveway and turn around and in the parking at their deliveries. Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, are going to be after hours, so there won't be any cars in the parking lot. They'll swing in and then back into the loading dock from the parking lot alongside of the building.
You are correct. The only other thing I would add is that we're using a smaller restricted delivery size truck. It's a WB50. It's smaller than what you typically see on the interstate to make special deliveries given the kind of tight confines.
Okay.
But if you have any questions that are specifically geared toward the city engineer's office, we would ask that you think about those now. That way we don't delay Jim any more than we have to.
We'll see the stormwater management next.
Yes, we're anticipating. Austin, are you still on track for getting that to us to be heard at the June 29th meeting?
I'm gonna ask Chris that question.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had originally submitted the stormwater narrative for, I think it was only for the Dollar General store itself. And I believe we are updating that to incorporate the rear lot as well. But yeah, we will have that in anticipation for the next meeting. Yes. The overall stormwater plan is, we are reducing the impervious area from existing conditions fairly significant. So the, rate is reduced, and we have the bioretention facility there in the rear that will be capturing and utilizing for treatment of your, kind of first flush of water off the parking lot, and then discharging to the existing storm drains back in the back alley there.
So Jim, you're all okay with the backing out into the alley?
Well, it's not ideal, but we have other situations. This is perfectly good time to do it. We've got that thing.
Right over here. Yeah.
So, no, in perfect world, we probably would not think that was the first option, but I think here, that alley goes through a fair amount of traffic. I mean, that's when I was CES, a lot of people feel bad that alley. So I think that's one of the things that he pointed out. I think we can totally park with this a little further away from the house. Give us more room to back out and cruise the door. I think it's workable. So, in general, we're okay.
And then they require some waiver considerations, which staff would actually support to achieve that.
I have been at the Marlboro Lofts when parking has been a premium, and this is true.
Like that at 7:30 in the morning.
Well, grandparents' day at the school. It's, a lot of people show up with cars. I don't have it. Did anybody else have any questions for Jim?
Seems really tight to me.
Yeah, but there's maybe an offset, a reasonable offset. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jim.
So, any questions?
Steve, can we talk a little bit about exterior lighting or what they're proposing there? I mean, I see some maybe along the.
Actually, what I would do is I would defer that to the developers on that, because I really haven't been involved in conversations regarding exterior lighting. So if Dean from Pentex wants to weigh in, now's the time to do it.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess we haven't gotten to the stage where we've developed a photometric plan yet. Normally what we do is we finalize our overall site plan layout and design, which we've just kind of done, I would say, probably in the last week or so. And then we start that process. What I can say is that we use like energy efficient LED lights that are, specially designed to not bleed light into areas where they shouldn't. And I think our design intention is basically 2-foot candles, which is about what you need to read a newspaper if you had good eyesight. For me, I'd probably need more than that. But 2-foot candles in the parking lot, and then really no lighting bleeding over the edges of our property lines. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're going to evolve that is enough. Would there be anything mounted on the front that sign went away? Or is it all freestanding poles?
I don't want to comment too much in one way or another just without having seen the photometric plan. My guess is there would probably be one or two. It would be, I don't know, architecturally balanced, I guess is the right word. Maybe lights along the side of the building, and there might be a pole light in the parking lot. Without having seen it though, it's hard for me to say just because I don't have the photometric plan done yet. So.
Okay, no problem.
Well, you heard it's a concern.
Like the residences, like, so how close are the residences from the front of this? Like right,
Across the street.
right, that red, is that a residence?
Right across the street is Red River.
Right.
But then not too far down on that side, there's residents.
Right next to the building.
There you go.
Except for lighting purposes, you don't want it to be like glaring into the neighbors.
Well, direct it down, direct it up, direct it down.
Oh, yeah. So I can certainly address that specifically. So with any lights that would be on the, well, anywhere on the site, if they were directed in any way towards the, any residentials or quite frankly, anything that's off of our property, what we do is we install shields on the outside. So it keeps that light directed downwards, stops it from glaring into people's windows. And that's absolutely something we would do here as well.
Something like diffused.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't quite catch that.
Something like using a diffusing shield or something like that would give you the light, but not a directional beam.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, they're kind of like high efficiency LED lights, and it's not like it's kind of like a floodlight that's sitting out there. They're directed downwards, and there would be a shield over top of it to stop it from, if you were looking at it from the same elevation, you wouldn't actually see the light. It would just be pointed straight downwards. You're not looking at the light bulb itself. I don't know if that makes sense. I think the short answer to your question is yes. That is the kind of thing we're looking at.
And Austin, I was talking to Jim Bender, and our thought is too, is you can narrow the width of that drive aisle coming in off of Cannon significantly down from the 24 that you're showing. You could probably do it at about 15 to make sure that gives everybody the visual that it's a one-way drive entrance.
Yeah, this is Chris. This is Chris Remley. Yeah, we can do that. We were just looking through the code and we couldn't find any requirements as it related to a one-way drive and minimum width on that. So we put the 24 in because that's what we found associated with the 90-degree parking. But we did think that we could, get that down to some smaller width, which would then kind of push those other stalls. We were talking before, those stalls that are to the southern part of the lot, further north, which would give you then that extra room off of the alley for backing up. So, yeah, I was going to ask that question actually. If 15 is an acceptable width, then we can certainly update it accordingly there.
As far as the entrance off of Cannon, 15 should be fine. It should be wider though for where you have cars backing into it. Jim and I were thinking, and this is for the planning commission's benefit too. The thought is that in order to pick up those necessary feet along the rear alley, that the one-way drive aisle running through the center of the site could go from 24 down to about 22 feet. And then the whole thing could be shifted north about another 2 feet. That would require the landscape buffer from the new interior property line going from 10 feet down to 8 feet. We think it's a wise trade-off in order to take the entire parking lot and push it north about 4 feet in order to give the back out radius into the alley more space. So you can basically pick up about 2 feet by narrowing the drive aisle running through the site and narrowing by 2 feet the landscape buffer along what amounts to the interior. You're not even going to be able to determine the property line anyway there because it's all stormwater management stuff. It's not really going to be discernible. So it would, the parking spaces would be 8 feet from that new interior property line rather than 10. And staff used that as a rational and reasonable trade-off to get parking farther away from the house.
Okay, all right, we gotcha.
If you move it all 4 feet north, or a couple feet north as well, it'll take some of the extremeness off of the that 90-degree turn on the driveway coming in off Cannon as well.
Yeah, we can smooth that out a bit. Yep. Okay.
Oh, and one last thing is as far as signage goes, given that it's a downtown environment, we would encourage the developer to consider a projecting sign on the northwest corner of the building by the steps that go down along the front of the building, which of course is the side. A lot of our downtown businesses have projecting signs, gives them a little bit more exposure, and also helps it fit in with the downtown environment as well. So they would have a sign mounted on the side of the building facing the traffic coming in off the Dual, and then a projecting sign on the corner of the building where you would walk down along the front, and they would have their standard Dollar General across the front of their storefront, which actually faces another parking lot.
Yeah, I'll speak with Dollar General on that. They actually kind of manage their own internal sign process, and I will relay the same and see if they have any options available that would fit that.
I signs in my business, but I'm struggling a little bit with that sign on the building facing traffic coming east over top of the welcome to Hagerstown Island that we have there already established. I just struggling with that. I'd rather see a vertical projecting sign where you talked about or on down there than on that building. Again, above that landscaped area that the city's always spent money on. Trying to create a welcome to Hagerstown. So I think the building will look great there. I think the building would give a great backdrop to that island.
Yeah, we struggle with that because we know that this is a unique situation with one-way traffic. It's not like a two-way street that a typical pylon would work. We tend to discourage pylons in the downtown to begin with. And there's actually height limitations on them, et cetera. But we were just trying to think what kept signage to a minimum, but also at the same time having the effect, and let's face it, the vast majority of the traffic coming by this facility is going to be westbound on Franklin Street. So.
Yeah.
At the northern corner of that building, a projection sign with a vertical message, follow general, would I think create a great presentation for the building as well as to the public that that's where Dollar General is. Because it's right getting closer to the entrance instead of almost a half a block away.
I agree.
Let me do this. I'll speak with the folks in the Dollar General signage department. I mean, they've worked in a lot of situations. So let me kind of, I hear what you guys are saying. Let me kind of talk to them and see what options we have available, and then I can come back at our next meeting and we can discuss what what opportunities we have. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about a vertical sign similar to one?
On Maryland Theater. Maryland Theater.
Maryland Theater. Yeah, up and down.
Dollar
Yeah,
General.
gotcha. Yeah, I think that would make, because when you're coming in there on Franklin Street, you're kind of dropping down anyway.
That angle that you see there is a good shot of where the building is going to be. It's going to be roughly in the footprint of where the existing building that you see there is. That'll be torn down, set back about another 5 feet or so. But the sidewall, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, is roughly where the sidewall of the existing building is?
Chris, is that right? I mean, it looks about right to me, but I don't want to overstep here.
Yeah, it's pretty much in that exact location. Yep.
All right, so picture the sidewall of that building with the front facade moved back, probably about another 5 feet.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna be. And then it's gonna be to give the appearance of being a 2-story building.
Just, I'd rather not see a sign on that face.
Understood.
That's all I was getting.
Those hacked up evergreens are probably going away.
I know the city had a couple variations of planting in there for the residents, taking up residence behind the trees and the bushes, but
Yeah, the trees were a negotiated item with the owner of the land that we got for the park to discourage the auction house from putting signs up. All of those parties are no longer with us.
keep working on it. That was my signage concern. Anybody else have anything? I think all in all, this was looking good.
I think so.
And look forward to seeing the next phase.
It's a needed thing. for
At
the
staff level, we'd like to thank them for working with us as much as they have. Because like I said, the site plan that I sent to you is like version number 4. They've been really working to figure out a way to meet their own needs, make the project go forward with designing something that fits in with our downtown as well. I think we're pretty much there.
Great. Thank you all.
I appreciate your time today.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on, Plan Commission business, annual report. I don't think I've ever seen this before.
We have, but we have a longer version this year because we had, I think it's over 50 residential permits for the year. I think last year we had 40. So if you're under that threshold, you do the short form. If you're above, you do the long form. Is this the first time we've ever done the long form? First time in a while.
We used to voluntarily do a fairly lengthy report
Right.
that went above and beyond what the state was asking for.
Yeah, now they have specific requirements, so that's why this version is longer, and I kind of noted on each part, if it does or doesn't apply to us. So for example, the agricultural preservation is for counties only. The adequate public facility ordinance, we no longer have that, so that's not applicable to us. And then also the development capacity analysis, which is new to us, so we don't have anything for that. But essentially, I kind of just wanted you guys to look at the text, and I don't know if there's anything that you want me to add from the year, anything that I'm missing. I have the comp plan amendments, the comp rezoning, land management code amendments, our annexation of the right-of-ways, VISTA and USMH expansions, the new water wastewater policy. And then I also talked about the social media and the business friendly, and I did add a section talking about what we've been doing with Zoom throughout this whole pandemic period. And then part of the figures for the residential chart and the commercial chart are not yet done. Again, this is the first time we've been required to do acres, so it's a little bit more looking into than just data that we have on the surface. But I did just want you guys to look at it before it's completely done, just in case you want me to add any text or anything on the whole that you feel like I missed.
I found a couple minor corrections for you, just so
Okay,
I
sure.
don't forget. On page 3, the third bullet,
From the top?
lift prohibition against, you just have a couple extra letters in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the next bullet, conservation, you have an extra letter in there too. And then back on page 5, A1, the second paragraph, talking about the development capacity. Since these report rules were adopted, we haven't had enough comments. this was kind of a good summary format of.
Yeah, it's pretty
Thanks.
much the same format as far as the text portion. It's really just, I guess, the extended detail on the residential and commercial permits.
Right.
Before, I think we were just required to do total permits and that was it. And now it's the acreage, the area, the subdivisions, all of that. That's mostly the stuff there.
So you still have that work to do, the
And
acreage
then,
stuff?
yeah,
Yeah.
for the acreage and everything, yeah.
That's basically my question. Anybody else? Of course, I think some of y'all weren't here 3 years ago, but I was, and I don't remember anything.
I don't remember.
It's
it
a
either.
very, it's a good way to remember.
Yeah, it is, it is. Which brings me to the point, y'all did an email just the other day, newsletter.
Yeah,
Is that the first one?
Paul and Emily are doing that, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
That was great.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That was great. I applaud you for that.
Very
That's great.
informative.
Super helpful.
Can't be too much communications.
No, and if you ever want to check out these podcasts
Yeah,
that have been done,
we're actually, yeah, we're getting a lot more views on the podcast. Donnie and Sean do a really good job just covering great topics, being very informative.
planning as well as code administration.
Yeah,
not
planning and
just
code.
I should probably review another historic district commission.
I'm sorry?
Currently, one of my contractors did something without applying, so we'll be seeing it any day.
Okay.
Will we be continuing the Zoom meetings, like or the YouTube?
So, well, I think we're gonna be continuing to record and go live, and then I think applicants have the option to Zoom in if they're not comfortable.
Yeah, Christine and I were talking about it earlier, it's just the transparency of it is super helpful.
Yeah.
you know?
I'd be ashamed to stop just because we're not.
Yeah, I don't think we have plans to stop.
It'll be a
doing live
while before we
streams.
won't be contagious anymore. too.
No, but just think like 2 years from now, like we'll just go back to the old way. It doesn't seem logical.
Right.
And it's
yeah.
really helpful too for applicants like the Dollar General people who
Yeah.
We're
are
in
a
Pittsburgh.
distance away.
Yeah,
It's helpful for, minutes too, to have the whole video and just be able to see who's speaking.
Gives us backup recording.
Yeah.
Are you required to provide a written transcript for ADA?
I don't know, actually.
In court cases, we are.
But for, just to make sure that people can access the meeting,
We just do minutes.
just for minutes.
Well, yeah, the minutes, I guess, would be the
Acceptable
transcript version.
substitution.
Yeah, 'cause the actual, if you have to do a transcript, that costs us quite a bit of money.
I think there's software that can take your video and just, so you're just
Yeah,
cleaning it up
sure.
versus transcribing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it automatically, we choose to record it, and then once we end, it automatically does the recording of the whole meeting.
So people can go back and watch it later.
Mhm.
All right, we got one more item. And that is the Board of Zoning Appeals agenda for July.
Yeah, we have two items on the agenda. One, they're actually both quite routine. One is a request basically to connect two buildings across the property line in the POM zoning district. We allow such things in the CG. We don't have a particular provision in the ordinance in the POM. They're just asking to build basically a walkway, covered walkway between the buildings. And then the other one is folks who live on the southwest corner on Summit where that traffic circle is. They just want to enclose an existing front porch that's already in the front building setback. They're not building anything beyond the existing technical walls of the thing, so it's kind of a.
Any comments? We're ready to adjourn?
Yes.
We're adjourned. Thank you.